Hi, good afternoon, it's Dean from maverickstar Observatory. I wanted to go over a couple of facts in this video, which I think some of these departments perhaps shouldn't have put these out to the general public. I think when they did release these documents I'm going to show you in a bit, especially a few of the charts, there is no denying that they are aware of the current situation with rising cosmic radiation. And they've known, as we have here, for quite some time, probably about 6 years now, that that's been the case. We know that an increase in cosmic radiation not only has an effect on the jet streams and therefore the climate, but it also can drive up cancer rates and affect cardiac arrhythmias. And if we are getting an increase in cosmic radiation, then more people will be dying as a result of an increase in cancer rates and heart attacks. Not only that, we are also seeing at the same time the extreme changes in the jet streams, which delivers, these 100-year rainfalls in a few hours' time. And we also know, as of what has been reported even on mainstream media now, that these events are on the increase. These floods are on the increase, and they're not just restricted to the northern hemisphere, Europe, Canada, America. We're seeing these events play out in China, Africa, Australia, New Zealand, etc. These are global changing events that these government bodies are for some reason not talking about. And you have to ask the question, why is that? Why will they show us as much data as what they do with stereo A, stereo B, satellites that are there monitoring the sun 24 hours a day? Why can we get footage of that and not from departments like the European Space Agency with regards to the Swarm mission, which was designed and built and put up into space to monitor the Earth's magnetic field as it goes through this magnetic field reversal? So we're going to switch over to the screen catcher software, and we're going to have a look at some of these charts, and I want to point out the key information. And after that point, there is no denying that these departments are absolutely aware of what is going on, and more so you will be also. Let's get into it. So this is one of those documents that was released, I think, by NOAA. It's the Space Environment Overview, and as you can see, it's dated 2014, so at least 7 years old. But the important information is there now, and I can't find another Space Environment Overview that shows current levels of cosmic radiation and the comparison with the sunspot numbers and solar cycles. And what I want to do is clearly show you something of very importance here, and I don't know why any other YouTube channel that is covering solar activity hasn't spoken about this before, because all the information is there clearly to show us that something very seriously is now taking place with our magnetosphere, also the sun activity. So if we look at this environment overview, you can see it's split up into lots of different categories. We've got GOES X-rays, GOES ions, GOES protons at the bottom there, but at the top we've got the monthly sunspot numbers, the daily sunspot numbers, then underneath that one, and then under that one, and this is the one that we're going to pay attention to, is Moscow's cosmic rays R equals 246. And you can see at the beginning of the chart at the left hand side, we see solar cycle 21, the end of solar cycle 21. Then we've got in the black solar cycle 22. Moving on, you've got solar cycle 23 in the grey, and then it goes back into solar cycle 24, back into the black. Now if we look along the Moscow cosmic rays data on that chart, which is the third one down, just look at solar cycle 24 and compare it with the maximum of solar cycle 23, because that is what I'm talking about here. When they released this, I believe that if they was trying to cover up something, then they did a real bad job, because the information is at the end of the chart clearly showing us that even during solar maximum, the heliosphere is that weak and the magnetosphere has weakened to that point where it does not push out that positive above zero radiation during solar maximum. And if we go back to solar cycle 23, we can see that it flatlines at solar cycle in the solar maximum, which is at the center of solar cycle 23. If you look at Moscow's readings, it doesn't go above zero, whereas in solar cycle 24 it clearly does. If we go back to solar cycle 22, we can see again that there is more cosmic rays being pushed away as a result of a healthy heliosphere, inflating beyond our solar system, pushing away that galactic cosmic radiation. And also we have got at that point a stronger magnetic field. Now this is going back, solar cycle 23, 22 and 24 goes back over 30 years, guys. It just so happens that 30 years ago we started to get an increase in the acceleration of the magnetic North Pole. In fact, in the last 30 years or so, it has migrated nearly 3 times more distance than it did in the entire 90 years prior to that. So, we clearly know that there is some dramatic changes. This gives us the evidence that the radiation is now on the increase, and we can only speculate as to how much it actually is, causing more cancer rates to go up and more heart attacks as a result of that. But what we can clearly see over the last 30 years is some dramatic changes to our climate here on this earth, and more recently now those reoccurring floods that just turn up in the blink of an eye and destroy people's properties, crops, and it doesn't really make any difference where on earth that is taking place. It is happening now all over. So there is a global transition that has took place, probably more recently over the last few years, noticeably with regards to the increase in floods, droughts and forest seasons starting earlier than there ever has been. So what I wanted to do is just show you solar cycle 24, 23 and 22, and we will point out that over the last 30 years there has been not just an increase that we see here in cosmic radiations, but a decrease in solar activity with regards to sunspot numbers. And as a result of that, we have a weakened heliosphere, which, as you know, turns into more cosmic radiation. And then we've got the Earth's magnetic poles reversing on this planet, which turns out to reduce the magnetosphere strength, and as a result we get climate change like we're witnessing. So let's have a look at the sunspot numbers over that last period, but pay attention to where we are on this chart in 2014, because it's very important. So once again, if we look at solar cycle 24, and then just below on the bottom part of the chart, we can see the years going up in 5-year increments. We can imagine where 2014 is, and it's slap bang in the center of solar cycle 24. That means it's confirmed that what the chart we was looking at in 2014 put that radiation increase at solar maximum, and it was going over zero, if you remember, into the positive numbers. So can you imagine if we was looking at up-to-date environmental space overview, how much radiation we would be looking at right now? That is the main point about all what I'm trying to get over to you guys, is that we would be looking at a colossal amount of radiation. And that is why we are starting to see some real dramatic changes now with our climate. Remember, solar maximum during solar cycle 24 was 7 years ago. What sort of levels of radiation now have we got with regards to cosmic radiation at this point in time, if they was already passing the critical point in 2014, where even at the sun's highest level of activity in solar maximum, it couldn't drive away that cosmic radiation, it couldn't push it away. So not only in the last 7 years have we now got to solar minimum, but we've also got a weakened magnetosphere over those last 7 years, and the the cosmic rays has escalated as a result. I'm sure that not just having one of these events occur that drives up the cosmic radiation is a bad thing on its own, but having two in concession is really bad for us. So these are the things that are not freely being discussed with people, and we are being told about climate change being driven by CO2, which is man-made CO2, which has caused man to change the climate. It's just BS, when all the facts point to what has really caused the change is two things. One, our primary shield going down, which is the magnetosphere, as a result of the the magnetic pole reversal. And two, we couldn't have been even more unlucky to be in a position where the sun's solar activity has also declined, causing both more radiation to come inbound into our upper atmosphere. So that is really what I wanted to make sure you understood. I hope I've explained it in a clear way. But the main thing here is that it's obvious what the effects of extra cosmic radiation would cause with regards to modifying jet streams. But this isn't what we're being told. And NASA, at Goddard, they're not coming out and telling people this. Is it because they don't want to cause panic? Is it because they don't particularly know where this is going to end? But I will say this, there isn't a scientist at NASA that could, put his hand on his heart and say that this could not turn out to be something real catastrophic in terms of when our magnetosphere does collapse during the reversal. There is no guarantee that it will come back up. I will say this, it is good on one hand to know that when we see volcanoes erupting like we have done over the last few weeks in La Palma, it is a good indication that our core has not solidified and is still visceral. Because if we are to believe the theory that our magnetosphere is generated by swirling molten core, which generates the magneto and in turn generates the magnetosphere, then obviously it hasn't solidified to the point where we have not got regular volcanic activity. But I will say this, the activity that we've got today compared with 5 years ago is less by around about 15 to 20%. So when I say there isn't a scientist at NASA or the European Space Agency that can guarantee that our core will not cease to produce that magnetosphere during the next reversal, what I'm saying is it is a possibility, and that is one of the outcomes. And I'll tell you even more so why that is because for some reason the magnetic reversal has taken another 500,000 years to go through a reversal. On average, it used to go through almost like clockwork every 300 to 350,000 years. So we're overdue by 500,000 years. And that really makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck sometimes, because we've seen what happens when a planet loses its magnetosphere. And I've mentioned it many times. It looks like, of course, our neighbouring planet Mars, which we know had an atmosphere, had water on its surface, and had water on its surface for thousands of years. And we know that because when you look at the terraform on Mars, you can see those valleys that were carved out by water erosion. It's the only way you could have got those valleys to form in the first place, by having moving water on the surface. So hopefully, guys, you're clear now that there is clearly an effort not to talk about the cosmic radiation, but they have already released a certain amount of information where if you were smart you could put it together and know that, you know, even at the critical point of solar maximum during solar cycle 24, it was not enough strength in the sun's output or activity to push out that cosmic rays that was inbound from our galaxy and other galaxies out there in deep space. Guys, we're at the beginning of a new month, and you know, we didn't even you know, make enough funds to have an average month last month. I'm just hoping that, you know, there are a few more people that are going to step forward and help support what we do at this observatory. You know, we are keeping people informed, and we want to continue doing that, and the only way we are going to do that is by all of us work together and, you know, chip in a few bucks here and there. You know, even me myself pays up. You know, at the end of the day, I put what I can afford to, and, you know, have done over the years. We wouldn't have been here, certainly, if all the time and you know, other people's donations, you know, we wouldn't be where we was today. So, you know, the only thing I can say is huge thanks to those that do support us, but, you know, we need more people to come forward and help keep us going here at the observatory in order to keep delivering this information. You know, we are approaching critical times where in the next 17 months we could possibly see a massive transition in the speed over distance of the magnetic North Pole, where it leaves those weak field lines and goes in, sorry, it leaves the strong field lines and goes into the weak field lines. And of course, we could expect also at that point more catastrophes related to climate. The link is down there, guys. I will say what I always do, you know, you have a great day, enjoy it with your families, take care of your loved ones, and as always, bye for now.